Y
Welcome, everyone.
bienvenidos a todos.
እንኳን ደህና መጣችሁ። የቀዳነው ነው ይሄንን ሴሽን።
So we just want to welcome everybody tonight. We're going to talk about interpretation and then we'll get started. We do have Amharic, Spanish, and sign language interpretation tonight. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you should see a little globe for interpretation, and you can choose the correct language and log in there. And if my
Y,
interpreters could just repeat that, that would be great.
y bueno, entonces a todos, hablamos un momentito de la interpretación. Está disponible para ustedes. Si ven en su pantalla, pueden ver abajo hay un globo. Si presionan ese globo, pueden ver las opciones para el lenguaje. Gracias.
ኦኬ አሁን አስተርጓሚዎች አሉ። አማርኛ፣ ስፓኒሽ አለ። ከዛ ደግሞ በምልክት የሚያሳዩ ደግሞ የሚነጋገሩ እሱም አለ እና ከታች ስታዩ ይሄ የዓለም ምልክት ታያላችሁ ታች ኮምፒውተራችሁ ላይ እና እሱን ስትነኩ አማርኛ የሚለውን ትነኩትና እዛ ላይ ትርጓሜ የምትፈልጉ ከሆነ የማትፈልጉ ከሆነ እዚሁ ትቆያላችሁ። የምትፈልጉ ከሆነ ግን እዛኛው ጋር ገብታችሁ እነሱ ሲናገሩ በአማርኛ አስተረጉማለሁ መስማት ትችላላችሁ ማለት ነው።
So we'll give everybody a second to get into language interpretation. Okay, and here's a quick peek at the agenda. We've already had our welcome and interpretation directions. We will do introductions. We'll have some public comments. We have a presentation tonight on specially designed instruction and some professional development for staff. We'll talk about some updates and then we'll have parent engagement at the end. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my MCPS Special Education Services staff.
Good afternoon. My name is Erica Williams. I'm the director for the Division of Pre-K and Related Services on the special ed side. It's very good to be here with you this evening.
Good evening. I'm Jada Langston, Director of Special Education Services. It's very nice to be with you this evening. I'll open it up to any of our cross-functional team members and supervisors that are here that would like to bring greetings.
I'll start. Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Latanya Williams. I'm the Acting Supervisor of Special Education Services.
Who will be presenting tonight.
Hello, everyone. I am Kashara Perry. I am the Acting Supervisor of Autism Services. It's a pleasure.
Also presenting, right?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Benson. I'm the Special Education Coordinator for the Kennedy Cluster of Schools.
Hey, everybody. Aaron Hollinger. I'm one of the coordinators as well. I represent the WJ and Sherwood clusters.
Good evening. I'm Allison O'Connor, and I'm the coordinator for the Quince Orchard and BCC clusters.
Hi, everyone. Oh, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Lauren Mangrum. I'm the Acting Supervisor of Early Childhood Disabilities and Child Find.
Hi, everyone. Jenna Landy, Coordinator for Blair and Damascus clusters.
Hi, I'm Dawn Firsch-Burns. I'm Coordinator for Watkins Mill Cluster and Blair Ewing.
Hi, I'm Alice Wright. I'm the Acting Supervisor for Physical Disabilities, and I'm in my car.
Okay. And I actually think we might be solo here tonight, but I could be wrong. Oh.
Dr. Jenkins?
No? Okay. Amy, I believe that you are our only co-chair here tonight, so it's all you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Bloom. It's nice to see everyone. We're very MCPS heavy, so thank you for coming and presenting. To our new families, welcome. We hope you continue to come back. To our familiar faces, it's good to see you again. Those of you who don't know me by now, I'm Amy Bloom. I have Our older son is at BCC receiving special education inclusion services. We've been at this since kindergarten, so feel free to reach out to me for support. And we've also had a lot of emails and people who are willing to give public testimony, and we really appreciate you. So keep advocating, and we're here for you. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Brooke is unavailable, and so was Jen Fang. So thanks, Amy, for being here. We appreciate it, obviously. So Amy and I will be leading that parent group at the end. It'll be fun. So let's move into our next slide, please, Derek. We do have three parents, guardians who have requested to provide public comment tonight. And just as a reminder, we certainly value and appreciate everyone's thoughts and opinions. We do not make any decisions or comments about public opinion, opinion, comments that are shared, but we do follow up. Whether that conversation is amongst ourselves or it moves forward, we certainly hear and want to hear what you have to say. We do obviously expect everyone to be respectful. We know there's a lot of emotion behind some of the things that you're presenting. And so just a reminder, to be cautious. We don't call out specific schools or staff, don't identify your child, but certainly you're speaking about experiences that you've had, which we want to hear about and we appreciate. And so just keeping that in mind, we have 3 minutes for each person, and we are going to start with, I believe, Ari, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Hi, I'm Ari.
Hi, thank you so much, and go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate your time. Good evening. My name is Ari Gleischer. In 2022, my family actually relocated here from Seattle to Chevy Chase, specifically for MCPS's special education services for our now 7-year-old son. Today, unfortunately, it's kind of felt like these services have been treated as optional. During the winter weather several weeks ago, local society was fully operational by Wednesday afternoon. By Sunday, we were able to easily drive to our daughter's dance performance and only, and we're not that close to there. Yet Monday morning, the next day, our son, who relies on specialized busing for his one-on-one placement, had school canceled entirely. And then this was preceded by an entire week where there was no school and followed up with 2 additional delayed starts. Unfortunately, MCPS has defended these closures using students like my son as a shield. They claim that they must shut down the county because they can't execute perfect door-to-door transportation down icy cul-de-sacs or side streets. But using vulnerable kids to excuse closures ignores that these students are actually the ones who can least afford to miss school. I find it dangerous to normalize treating school as non-essential. And these students receive ESY often because their critical skill deficits demand daily consistency. You cannot legally mandate ESY on one hand, yet casually accept severe dysregulation from all these winter closures. These closures, honestly, create immediate family crises. We can't just hire a teenager to babysit. In order to care for our children, a lot of times we have to miss work, and manage the severe behavioral fallout that comes from the disrupted routines. Personally, I've been a special education director in Washington State, and I worked in a day program. I was a program director of a day program in this area. So I totally understand these complicated weather logistics and know that it's challenging. But I've also seen school districts such as Seattle or Omaha or Spokane and many others that solve these types of problems with emergency snow routes. Instead of doing some sort of creative solution such as that, what we've seen is MCPS has been lobbying the state through bills like HB 1084, which will legally remove their 180-day instructional obligation. So the reason why I wanted to comment is because I urged SECAC to formally advise the Board of Education to demand solutions that prioritize keeping schools open, such as developing those emergency snow routes, and oppose HB 1084. We moved here for the world-class education system, but we can't access it if we're closed half the winter. And I don't want a situation where the district continues to be incentivized to opt overly erring on the side of abundance of caution when it causes really challenging situations for parents like us. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you so much. And our next speaker will be Chris.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Mary Beth. I'm Chris Petrie. Thank you so much for the opportunity to give public comments. It's nice to see so many MCPS staff here and some new faces that I didn't know about. But I wanted to, I'll send my full commentary by email. I do have a lot to say, and 3 minutes isn't a long time, but everybody's busy. I'm speaking as an MCPS parent and a PTSA Special Education Committee chair. I've been around a while. My 2 boys started receiving services in the infants and toddlers program. One is now a college freshman. The other is an 11th grader in an autism resource services program at MCPS. Parts of the new vision for the MCPS special education as outlined in the fiscal year 27 operating budget sound really good, such as putting resources at the elementary level, efforts to create efficiency and reduction of silos in the system. However, there remains a lot of transparency that we, the community, would like to understand. I was wondering if a presentation or a town hall could be coordinated for the community to shed light on the vision for how our students will be supported through the spectrum of services, understanding that the budget process is currently ongoing. As a parent, I am concerned about the lack of transparency with regards to the restructuring. It's echoed by other parents, community partners, MCPS staff, and members of the Board of Education, in particular, Rita Montoya, who has twice mentioned transparency in special ed. Some of the concerns include expertise. It is nice to see some new faces. Miss Perry, autism and physical disabilities. Didn't know you were here. That's fantastic. Some of the concerns from our direct service providers, like speech pathology, is who will they turn to for expertise and advocacy? How will openings be filled in an era of a national shortage of such direct service providers? The autism unit, Miss Perry, you're in the hot seat. Parents like us want to know how our students will be supported across the spectrum of services. We'd like some clarity on that. Transition, what is happening with the transition unit? Will some of the work fall on TSTs and case managers that are already overloaded? We had a parent mention ESY. How will our most vulnerable students be supported with significant cuts to ESY services? Academic support at all levels. Allocating math and English resources at all levels, not just elementary, is really critical. My son's high school is a 5-star school, but math and ELA proficiency are less than 40% for students with disabilities. These data are seen across the system and are not acceptable. How will students be prepared to exit MCPS being future ready without basic skills in math and reading? And lastly, compliance, administrative burden, and staff turnover. Compliance, as we know, is a major issue in MCPS, and MCPS is already stepping back on its commitment to add elementary resource teachers for special education by prorating the placements. At the high school where my son attends, a 5-star school, we have the highest number of state complaints in MCPS. This is not for lack of care and concern from staff. Administrative burden is a real issue for special education staff across the system that takes time away from teaching and learning in the classroom where students need it most, contributing to burnout and turnover. So I asked the staff, how will compliance be managed in the new structure? How will you hire, support, and retain caring and talented special education staff and paraprofessionals? Thank you for listening. I truly appreciate any effort by MCPS to be more transparent with your vision for our students.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate it. And I do not want to mess up your name.
My name is Al-Shaddai Yemene.
Al-Shaddai. Say the first name again. I'm sorry.
Al-Shaddai.
Al-Shaddai. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity to make a public comment. As I said, my name is Al-Shaddai Yemene, and I am the parent of a certificate-bound student enrolled in an alternative learning outcomes program in MCPS. I am speaking tonight because the recent shooting at Wooten High School brought long-standing systemic concerns about the ALO student population into sharp focus for me, and I'd like to share these concerns with SECAC. In the aftermath of the incident, MCPS issued multiple communications to families. None of them addressed the unique safety, communication, or support needs of ALO students. As a parent, I reached out to my child's principal, the superintendent, and central office leadership with specific questions about how the district was addressing the needs of students in self-contained programs during a crisis. It took nearly 2 weeks to receive a response, and several of my concerns remain unanswered. This experience reflects a broader pattern. ALO students and their families are consistently absent from district-wide communication and planning. This lack of visibility extends beyond crisis response. When MCPS engages the community on major initiatives, boundary analyses, program redesigns, or operational changes, ALO programs are rarely mentioned. For example, during recent boundary discussions, the future of self-contained classrooms was not addressed. When the ESY schedule was changed this year, families received no district-level explanation of the rationale, the data used to support this change, or the plan to track the impacts of this change on students with the most intensive needs. More fundamentally, I'm not aware of any MCPS public reports that monitor the academic, vocational, social, or transition outcomes of ALO students. Families are kept focused on individual IEPs, but we are not shown how our students are progressing as a community. We do not see data on access to the modified curriculum, rates of IEP goal attainment, inclusion in school communities, or post-school transition outcomes. Without transparent, system-level monitoring, ALO students remain invisible in district decision-making, and families cannot meaningfully partner with MCPS to improve outcomes. I'm asking SECAC to work with interested ALO parents to develop a more robust and transparent communication and monitoring system for ALO programs, a system that ensures our students are represented in district-wide messaging, academic progress monitoring, and policy decision-making. ALO students are part of the MCPS community. They deserve to be seen, heard, and supported at the system level, not only at the IEP table. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all of our parents and caregivers who spoke this evening. And as a reminder, if you are interested in presenting public comment at any of our next 3 meetings, here is the QR code that you can use to do so, or you can reach out to the co-chairs or myself, and we'll send you the link. So thank you so much. And now we're going to move into our presentation tonight is around specially designed instruction and training for staff, which was a question that was brought up during the evaluation feedback that we received from meetings as an area that families were interested in. And so I'm going to turn it over now to, I believe, Dr. Williams, is that you?
Yep, it's me, and I have Miss Perry here as well. We'll kind of tag team this. So we heard the feedback, so thank you for sharing that. So my name again is Latanya Williams, Dr. Latanya Williams. I am the Acting Supervisor of Special Education Services. And if Miss Perry, if you want to jump on and introduce yourself again, just in case anyone missed it.
Okay. All right. And hello, everyone. I am Kashara Perry. I am the Acting Supervisor of Autism Services.
Awesome. So tonight we're going to talk about the specially designed instruction and what that means for your child. So this is the heart of special education. So while we have an IEP, that's a document, the SDIs are what brings it to life. It's what makes that IEP meaningful and individualized. So our goal tonight is to help families understand how the instruction is individualized to support with each student reaching their full potential. Next slide. Oh, you guys are quick. Thanks. All right, so what is specially designed instruction? You'll hear SDI throughout this presentation so that we don't get tongue-tied. So SDI is teaching that intentionality adjusted to meet your child's unique needs. And you'll hear the term unique needs a lot tonight too. And this is related to the student's disability. And it may involve changing the what is taught or the how it is taught or how your child accesses. So you'll also hear the word access because the purpose of SDIs is to make sure that every student can access the same standard as any other student. So SDI is also required under law, is required under IDEA, and we must support and use these SDIs to support your child's progress with the general education curriculum. So it's not just extra help. This is actually individualized instruction, and it's connected directly not only to the content, but also to each student's IEP goals and objectives. Next slide. Awesome. So why are SDIs important? Why are they essential? SDI is how students provide that free and appropriate education, how they provide FAPE. It also ensures that your child is not just present in school, but they're actively progressing. These unique learning strategies should support the student not only feeling confident in the school, but just kind of wanting them to actually move at their own pace, but also on the same journey of accessing the same standards. So SDI support the whole child. So it's not just academically. We also want to look at the social or behavioral needs. We also have students who have those communication skills, as well as students who are working on independence. So without the SDI, an IEP would simply just, again, be that document. So that SDI, again, is what's going to bring action and life to the IEP. Next slide. All right, so this is the collaborative piece and what are the roles? So I know we talk a lot about what's happening in the classroom. So if we looked at the members in the classroom, the adults, special education, as we know, is a team effort. So we have the special education teachers who are designing and delivering that instruction based on the data and based on evaluation results, as well as what the students' IEP goals and objectives are. The general education teacher is there to actually support that implementation. So while the special education teacher is the expert with implementing these SDIs, they're going to collaborate with that general education teacher in that inclusive setting. And then we also have the role of the paraprofessional. And I did hear a parent mention a one-to-one. So the paraprofessional, while they can't provide the direct instruction, their role is to help reinforce the instruction under the supervision of the teachers. So again, every family member is also a very critical member of the IEP team, and your insight also helps drive what SDIs are actually appropriate for your child. Okay, so at this point, I'm actually going to pivot over to Ms. Perry.
Sorry, everyone, I had to get over to my sheet. All right, so we are going to move on to, you can turn to the next slide, please. Okay, and so before we move forward, we definitely want to talk about and address some common myths about specially designed instruction, or SDI. These misconceptions often create confusion about what SDI actually is, and just as importantly, what it is not. So we are going to address that. So myth number one, it's just differentiated instruction. SDI and differentiated instruction are related, but they are not the same thing. Differentiation is something all teachers do to support a range of learners in the classroom. SDI, however, is individualized and legally required under a student's IEP. It is specifically designed to address the student's disability-related needs, the barriers preventing them from accessing and making progress in the general education curriculum. In other words, differentiation supports many learners. SDI is targeted, individualized instruction tied directly to a student's IEP goals and objectives. Myth number two talks about it only happens in separate settings. Another common misconception is that SDI only happens in self-contained or separate classroom. That is not accurate. It could not be further from the truth. SDI is about the instruction, not the location, and you'll hear us continue to say that a lot as we move forward. It can occur in a general education classroom, small group setting, resource class, or any other educational environment. What matters is that the instruction is intentionally designed to meet the student's unique needs. Placement does not define SDI. The instructional design does. Myth number Number three, it means lowering standards. Sometimes people assume that providing SDI means we are lowering expectations or reducing the rigor within our classroom. This is not the case. The goal of SDI is to provide students with the specific supports and instructional strategies they need to work towards grade level standards. High expectations remain in place. SDI simply ensures equitable access to achieving them. All right. And then if you go to the next slide, please. What SDI is. So SDI is a legal requirement, as I talked about earlier, and it is not generic support. It is for students with IEPs. All right, so the purpose of SDI is progress, specifically progress towards grade level standards and progress towards IEP goals and objectives. SDI connects daily instruction directly to measurable outcomes, whether we're looking at the general education curriculum or essential elements that's aligned to the alternate learning outcome standards. It is co-developed, co-implemented, and co-evaluated by a collaborative team. So it is not created or developed or delivered, in isolation. It is developed by the IEP team, implemented collaboratively, often between general education and special educators, and continuously evaluated using data to support this process. Ongoing collaboration ensures the instruction remains responsive and effective. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to my co-presenter.
Awesome, thank you. And I do see a hand up, Mary Beth, I'm assuming we wait to the end. I don't want to break the format.
It's up to you, whatever flows best for you all.
Okay, so I can see one hand up. I see Lily.
All I wanted to do was to help the parent that's trying to reach translation, and I think someone mentioned it in Spanish in the.
Yeah, I just sent a message, so hopefully we're working it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
Yeah.
No problem. Oh, Hallie. Oh.
Hi, my question is the SDI that you mentioned. My daughter, she is in special program. She have an IEP. She have a speech delay, and they didn't mention that they have the SDI program. And how can I ask this for the school?
Latonya, you want to take that or?
We can tag team. We're here together. Thank you for that, and we can clarify that. So the specially designed instruction is a part of the IEP. So as you're going through that entire document, these are a lot of times people confuse accommodations and SDIs. The SDIs are specifically what your child would need to access the learning. So it may be, think about, you heard about extra time. If the student needs extra time, does the student need visual aids? These are just different things. Oops. The SDIs these are all a part of the IEP. And do you remember the special considerations page in the IEP?
Yes, they mentioned that they're gonna give her more time when they have testing or they do reading.
Okay, and that's why we're doing this presentation, because we heard you and we want you guys to be confident when you attend these IEP meetings. So if you know that there's a particular strategy that works specifically for your child, that's when we want you guys to share that with the school teams, because that then can become a part of the IEP. So you guys have a lens as far as how the student operates at home and what strategies work at home. But some of those ideas at home could actually trickle into the classroom environment and help the student learn in school too. So it's specifically what you know would help your student actually learn better in a classroom. And those are those specially designed instructional parts and factors that we want you to bring to the IEP table at those meetings.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for that question. Okay, so we'll continue going. Oh, you guys are on the right slide. All right, so how do we bring this all together? The whole impact of SDI is so transformative. So we have where the student is, and then we know the journey to where we want them to get. So when done well, when implemented with fidelity, the SDIs are there to help close those learning gaps. So again, we have where the student is. We know what their unique needs are. We want to collaborate on that. And once we implement those things, we are increasing the student's opportunity and access to the general education curriculum. And at the end of the day, it builds their confidence as well, and that's what we want. And then it also provides that explicit and that structure instruction in areas where the student would need it most, whether it's the reading, writing, math, or so forth. And then it supports inclusion. And I did want to spend a little bit of time on the co-teaching because we do want to make sure that the participation is actually meaningful. We want students to not only have access to the grade level standards, we want them to have access to their peers. So we want to build the capacity in the classroom. And with this, we have different co-teaching models. So this is when you have that special education teacher who's also in a classroom with a general education teacher. And what that should look like, we have a teaming thing going on, kind of like what Ms. Perry and I are doing. Each teacher is actually providing the instruction in parallel. And then you also have opportunities for station teaching or rotations in the classroom. And that's also a good time during instruction where some classrooms may have SDI rotation stations where they're focusing specifically on what those students need to actually learn the curriculum in a classroom. So when we're talking about SDIs, it's things that we can put in place that kind of is layered to the instruction and to the content that is already in the classroom. And then also I wanted to talk about the perspective of SDIs. So we want to remove all the barriers. The SDIs focus on the student's strengths. What can the student do? What do they need to access to make sure that they can progress? So again, SDIs, it focuses on the strengths of the students. We want to remove any barriers. And then the long-term goal is to prepare the students for success. So with that, the information shared tonight has and it continues to be used to train our teachers across the district. So this includes our RITSEs, it includes our classroom teachers, as well as our special education elementary teacher leaders. And then again, the SDIs are important to ensuring that all students are accessing high quality instruction. We also want to make sure like all students are on the same journey. So every student comes to school, they should also have that opportunity to access the standards that any other student is getting. So we just want to make sure with these SDIs that every student is on the same journey of accessing those standards. Okay, next slide. Oh, so there was we got some additions to that. Thank you. So here we just want to encourage families to just review these resources. There's some links here. The state actually has a really good link about a webpage about specially designed instructions. And it actually includes a good video for families to look at, and it kind of brings it's worth the watch because it should provide some kind of clarity and better understanding around this. I know we're presenting tonight, but that's something that you can kind of resort to in the future. Okay, so overall, I see someone's off mute.
I know we had a question in
Oh,
the
sorry.
chat.
Let me pause.
Yeah, in terms of is SDI, I think it says.
Do you want me to read the questions?
Yeah, so I think it was asking, isn't SDI the same as accommodations? And I did want to say, no, it is not. So accommodations provide access. They do not teach new skills. So when we think about accommodations, we're looking at extended time, we're looking at text to speech, we're looking at preferential seating, those kinds of things, maybe copies of notes that we will provide to students to give them access to the instruction. When we're talking about specially designed instruction, we're talking more about the skill development and the progress throughout, not just the access. So that would look more like the teaching, so explicitly teaching phonics to a student who has a reading disability. It may look like a structured writing prompt for our students using modeling and that guided practice so they can learn that skill. It may look like a task analysis for a student, a student with a more significant cognitive disability, one that's working towards an alternate learning outcome. We may see that, the task analysis, the visual representations. So those are things. So SDI is more of the skill development and the progress through that. Accommodations, it just provides access to the students to learning.
So Ms. Perry, to add to that, it sounds like so with the SDIs, we're focusing on changing that instruction. Like how can we tie in, so how can we tie in these parts to change the instruction? And this is where that planning between like a general education teacher and a special education teacher really comes into play. Because as they're lesson planning, these students' unique needs, what they need to actually access, is now going to become a part of their instruction for that particular content. It's a really good question. I'm not sure if we're missing any other ones before I close out. So again, definitely visit that website through MSDE. And of course, I see a hand that went up.
The links aren't active.
Oh, they're not. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right, we can fix that. Was that the question?
No,
I know that was, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I had a couple of questions about SDI. One, what should SDIs be explicitly defined within the IEP, like accommodations are? And if so, where should that information be in the IEP? And then second, can you provide examples of the type of data parents can request that would track the effectiveness of SDI developed for their child? Thank you.
Okay. So in the actual IEP, so you know how you have, and I'm going to go to conditions, you know how you have the IEP goals and objectives. So you have those portions up front. Does the student need a sentence starter, graphic organizer? Do they need prompting to access? So you'll see some uniqueness there.
So
And then
at
also,
the beginning of every goal, like it says giving, like
right.
sentence starters or blah, blah, blah. You know.
So look at those two, but also I want you to really, the special considerations, so the supplementary aids and everything, you know how like we spend a lot of time in IEP meetings to go through that. That's where your input is going to be very valuable because those are specific things that teachers can implement in their instructional practices. So those are really two good areas to actually really focus on and add that the uniqueness that you know would work for your student. And
thank you.
Then, yeah, and Ms. Perry, you could chime in too, because I might be missing something. The data that you're going to see to show are going to be your quarterly progress notes. So those quarterly progress reports that come out should show the students' mastery and retention for those specific goals and objectives. So a lot of times if we have students who are not making progress, it may not mean that they need a totally different location or increased services. It could be those specially designed instructional practices that just need to be adjusted because it could be something that's just not connecting that you may know that works at home, but we might be missing at school. And that's where that collaboration comes when we're having IEP meetings.
Thank you. I understand
Yes,
better.
and Ms. Yamay, also when we're looking at for students ALO population, we're looking at those visual schedules that may have explicit instruction on transition in between a task. So you'll see those. So it's embedded. So the specially designed instruction is really what it is, the instructional piece. And then the others will be the access part. So we'll see a lot of the access part, and then that instruction that's specific to the student, that's what that specially designed instruction is working to pull out from the students.
Thank you. I think I better understand it now. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for the questions. I love it. So in closing, so again, our shared goal is simple. So we just want to make sure with this, we want to make sure that we're helping every student reach their full potential at the end of the day. And this is going to be through that individualized instruction. And we just want to make sure that we're preparing them for success, not only during school, but we know there's going to be a time where they're graduating from high school. So how can we make sure that we're matching that independence, promoting that independence that they're going to need after they graduate from high school? So with that, I do want to thank everyone for your time, your trust. Thanks for trusting us with your child or children, and we appreciate the continued partnership. And I look forward to hearing parents actually mention specially designed instruction in the IEP meetings.
Yeah, actually, Shauna Kay just brought up something. The links are active if you use the QR code, but we'll try, I think, throughout this presentation, maybe you guys can go in and just do the active links and drop them in the chat. That would be great. And then I think at this point we have Jody who's going to come on next.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. My name is Jody Chessman. I'm the Behavior Intervention Specialist, and I work out of the Department of Special Education Compliance. And so I was asked to speak this evening about various professional learning opportunities that staff, that special education staff have available to them. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of some of the things, and these are the ones that I'm directly, working with, but I know some of the different services have additional professional learning opportunities for their staff on an ongoing basis. So some of the trainings that we have for staff, this first slide, are the trainings that are open to all MCPS staff. So special education staff as well as general education staff. The first is a de-escalation training that is online. So that is asynchronous, meaning that staff can do it on their own whenever they want to do it. It's about 30 to 40 minutes. That course is also designed that it can be done in a group. So some schools may have engaged with this professional learning opportunity, either as a whole staff or with smaller groups, with maybe the counselor or the staff development teacher facilitating that learning. The next is we have 2 deep dive sessions that we did in conjunction with the our school safety office. And so the first one is intervention do's and don'ts, ensuring safe student interactions. And this is a short asynchronous resource for all staff, and it really gives some guidance around best practices and things that they can and cannot do when interacting with students, and really the safest way to be interacting with students. The other deep dive we have is focused on what to do and essential strategies when students may be wandering out of location or eloping or attempting to elope off school property. So that is, again, a short resource available to all staff. The last general training that we have available to all staff is a de-escalation strategies training that is offered in person. This is a 3-hour class. It is available for staff in special education as well as staff that are general education staff members in the building. This course focuses on staff mindset, communication skills, as well as just general de-escalations of how to help students when they may be beginning to feel agitated, when students may be demonstrating some non-compliant behaviors and things like that. So this is in person, a little bit more interactive, and digs a little bit deeper than the online trainings that are available. The next slide, if we can go to the next one, please, just gives the titles of 2 of our certification courses that we offer for staff in specific special education services. So the one training is through the Crisis Prevention Institute. The training that we provide in MCPS is called Nonviolent Crisis Intervention. And this training is for staff, as I said, in specific special education services and to staff who are identified as members of the school crisis team. This training focuses on the de-escalation strategies, personal safety techniques, as well as physical intervention skills. So it digs a little bit deeper and then really expands to safe management of behaviors. The Yukiru training is another certification course. So these are a little bit different in that staff actually have to meet certification requirements to be certified in either of these trainings. The Yukiru training is a trauma-informed de-escalation course that it teaches de-escalation. It gets into a lot of brain science and understanding how the brain functions and understanding the impact of trauma on the brain. And the Yukiru training also includes safety strategies, so things to keep themselves safe, as well as how to safely use blocking pads, which is another safety intervention. These two are, as I said, certification courses and available for specific staff. I did see a couple questions pop up, so I want to make sure to address those. Is there a reason these are not required for staff instead of optional trainings? And I agree that is a great question, Amy. I am not high enough to answer that question. But they are wonderful resources for staff, and that would be something I can't answer. I'm not sure if anybody
Not
can.
high enough to answer.
I am not high enough to answer it. High enough on the structure scale.
Our staff given the time to do this.
Yes. So the trainings, the 3-hour in-person training is available to all staff, and that would be something that if principals want them to attend that training, they work that out with them. For the certification courses, substitute funding is provided, so staff can get a sub to attend during the workday, and some staff in specific services, so our special education staff that are eligible for these, when they are able to be trained in the summer, staff are paid to participate in these trainings in the summer. This is a great question. Does MCPS publicly report the number of general ed and special ed staff taking these trainings? We do. There is no report that we provide. I know that we have been asked when people go through the system and request data and information, we have provided information, and we do have that. There are different metrics we use to track the effectiveness of these interventions. Some are looking at some of its IEP goals and objectives. Some of it is really around looking at the data on our physical restraint data. That data is submitted to the state and is public information every year. What we have seen is the effectiveness of both of these certification courses really is shown through our significant reduction in physical restraint, in incidents of physical restraint over the past, I would say 5 to 10 years. The trainings are for staff. They aren't for parents. I know that in years past, the Crisis Prevention Institute, our nonviolent crisis intervention, did have a version that was available for parents. That's currently not something we are able to, we're providing. But the certification courses, we do not, there is no option to add or subtract content, as those are we are contracted with those companies to provide those trainings as we are trained to do. The other trainings that are open to all staff are best practices and are designed and administered by staff who are experts in those areas. So those are the trainings I was asked to share, and I appreciate having the opportunity to share with you some of the great work that staff have done, and as well as the supports and learning opportunities that are available to the staff that are supporting our students. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm back. Mary Beth Manzaranis. I'm the Family Support Services Coordinator. Next slide, please, Derek. Just a reminder that you can find information related to special education issues, events on the Family Support Center webpage. And actually this year we've tried to ensure that at the top of each page related to special ed at the carousel, it'll show you the things that were also posted on my page. So pretty much if you go anywhere that's special ed related, you'll be able to find things that are happening related to SECAC or related to workshops or evening events. You can also get updates through the special education Facebook page and X. We had our winter resource fair last night. It was a huge success. Thank you so much to the families. I know some of you were there last night. We definitely have community partners who were there last night. We really appreciate it. We had an amazing turnout. We will be hosting our spring resource fair, hopefully in May. We are just waiting on confirmation for the school and the date. So as soon as we know, I will be sure to let all of you know. We are also hosting with the Resolution and Compliance Office, we're hosting a dispute resolution workshop for families in March. It will be the week of March 16th. We're just finalizing that date and time as well, so stay tuned for that. And just a reminder that if you want to be on the distribution list to receive sort of a heads up or information about workshops that aren't necessarily just MCPS related, like things will come across my emails, and sometimes they're really great organizations offering amazing workshops. So if you'd like to be on a distribution list, you can just send me an email and I will add you to mine. Derek, what's next? Anticipation. Oh, so yes, we have community partners, and then I'll also pop back on because we're going to talk a little bit about the family involvement survey. So I know that Sharon already put something in the chat for the city of Rockville, so I'm going to start there. Sharon, you're on. Uh-oh, unless she put something in the chat because she's not here anymore. All right, well, do we have any of our other community partners who are here tonight who'd like to step in and share information about things that are happening? Okay, so if you scroll up, just so you know, if you scroll up to almost the beginning, Sharon put in information about the Parks and Recreation. So I'm just gonna copy it so that you all can have it without having to go find it again. So that's in the chat. And then we'll just keep going. Next slide. Okay. So parents, this, and actually staff too, because, you know, we have parents who are staff members as well. Every year, the Maryland State Department of Education puts out the parent involvement survey. And every year our response rate is so low. And it's unfortunate because we use the results to help us plan what we need to do to quote unquote get better. And so when we only have like 9% of parents who respond, we're hearing from a very limited number of people, right? So it really is used. It's actually, all of the data is, organized into charts, and we see what our percentage is, and we have state goals that we're supposed to meet. So it is very helpful for us to know the areas that we're, doing well in, which we will continue to, excel in, hopefully. But then also the areas where we're struggling, right? And so the only way that we really know that is when we hear from you. So this survey is opening in March, and it's running through June. So you will be hearing about it, fingers crossed, at your IEP meetings, from your, principals sending out notifications. We'll be sending out notifications. It is a very simple survey. The hardest part is making sure that you pick the right one, whether it's preschool or school aged. But the questions themselves they're pretty straightforward. Like, are you involved in things? Do you know about certain things? And so in my position, one of the biggest things to come up is always that parents want to know more about community organizations, which is why we host the resource fairs, and wanting to be connected to other families, right? Which is sort of the goal of SECAC. So working through that and figuring out the best way to make those things happen involves all of us. So again, this is not active right now, but it's really just sort of putting into your brain that it's super important for you to complete it, because we're sort of running on a wing and a prayer about where we need to, put grant money and where we need to run workshops and programs if we don't hear directly from the families who are impacted the most. So that's my soapbox. And hopefully, you'll definitely see this again in March, April, and May when we have SECAC meetings. So I think we can move forward now, Derek, please. Okay. So actually, look at us. It's 8:00. We're at the end. I mean, this is some amazing work, people. Lily, thank you. I got your email. So we do appreciate you coming tonight. We would love for you to click on that form and do the quick survey. It's very simple. It's just, again, your name, your email, your kid's age, and whether tonight's meeting met your expectations or your, area of need, and if you have anything that you want us to follow up on. The recordings are available. Usually Derek goes through everything, organizes it. Sorry, I'm responding to a question in the chat. He organizes everything, submits it for approval, and then it's posted. And honestly, we've been pretty quick about it. So I would say by Monday at the latest, it'll be up on the website. Add the survey to the chat. Yes, I could do that. Oh, why is that not active? Erg. Sorry, guys. Okay. Derek, what happened? Sorry, you guys. I'm trying to do multiple things, and clearly. And thank you to Latanya for putting information in the chat for families. I appreciate that.
Sorry, and my link is kind of, I don't know. If it's still not working, we'll figure it out. And once you share the information, we'll, try to make sure the links are working right.
Okay. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put this in the chat. I just have to get back to you all now. Sorry. Okay. Let me get to everybody. Goodness. All right. There is. And it's not even the right number now because I had to copy a new. Oh, Derek did it. Okay, never mind. Yeah, so hopefully it'll work. Get you to the right thing. So at this point, we do really want to thank our MCPS staff for attending tonight. At this point, you normally move into some parent engagement and dialogue with the SECAC co-chairs. So it's still not working? Which one's not working, mine or Derek's? Sorry. Oy, oy, oy. I love it when technology works against me. Normally I would have done a QR code, and tonight I didn't. So I apologize for that. I'll get it figured out and stick it in. None of these links are working. Oh, okay.
Can we email the forms
We can. I feel, I feel badly because I don't want people, it's like one more thing you have to do.
Well, yeah, but if you're if it's not working and you have other.
I know. Okay. Well, again, to MCPS staff, thank you so much. We appreciate you. You are welcome to head out. The subsequent slides are things that we'll share with parents. Unless at this point, parents, are there any last questions for any of our presenters before we send them on their way? And you can actually just come off mute if you have a question.
Yes, I have one question. My as I told you, my daughter have an IEP. If I need like another therapy for her, if I don't think that this is enough, who do I contact? Sorry.
If you don't think the IEP is
No,
sufficient?
the therapy that she's getting, I don't think that's enough for her. I asked them to add more time, but they refused. So who do I need to contact?
So you've already requested with the school team, because that is the next step, right? Is to reach out to the school.
I did request. I asked them, I told them that is not enough for her. Like she's 7 and they told me that around 8 she might need to be diagnosed. And before that I want her to try more. But they refused. So who do I need to contact? Or if there is any private therapist that you guys recommend? I don't know.
You can reach out to me. That's probably easiest. I'm going to put my email and my phone number right now in the chat. And then we can work through it and we can problem solve for next steps for you. Org, and then 240. Okay. And then that's my cell.
Thank you so much.
Of course, of course. All right, it doesn't look like there are any questions for
I have a
MCPS staff.
question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank you all for putting together a great presentation. I really appreciate this as a parent of a kid who's been through special education since the infants and toddlers program. And I know in the past, you all have done sessions related to resources, economic resources, financial resources, like list funds, the autism waiver. And I found out about some of these resources later on, but there may be resources that I'm unaware of. And talking about financial support for our kiddos, I think it's a wonderful a session just dedicated towards that, autism waiver, at list funds, all types of financial resources that may be available for our kiddos.
That's perfect, because that's one of the, we're looking at getting some of those providers for March's meeting. So including Maryland Able accounts, but also conversations around and like just other ways that parents can obtain some funding.
That is fantastic. And I know that things have changed, like with the list funding, it's been reduced.
Yes.
Any updates about resources that we used to have and decreases, or even if you hear about things that may be coming in the horizon, that would be helpful. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Hi, good evening. I do have a question.
Go ahead.
All right. Again, thank you so much for this presentation. I was able to catch the tail end of there was a presentation about SDI. New concepts, new information to me, and I wasn't able to get the entirety of that presentation. Who do I reach out to get more information about that, and just learn to see if that is something additional that my student can access to help her achieve her goals on our IEP?
Presenters, do you want to take that one, or?
Sure. So the link I keep trying to share in the chat, it goes into detail from start to finish. kind of like going through what we presented here tonight, but in more detail. So if you looked at that specific video, but you can also reach out to me as well. I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay, I'm not able to see that link, but I'll look for your email and I'll follow up with you this week
Thank you. And I
to
think
learn more about it.
thank you. I think Derek said once this presentation is live, I think the links will start working, but if not, definitely email me.
Yeah, that's what Derek was saying. Once it's loaded on the site, all of the links will be active. But again, we understand some of you are like, no, we want to see it now. So if you go to MSDE and you type in specially designed instruction, you can in fact get some information. It can just be overwhelming. So this was a little bit tighter, more accessible.
Hi, I have one question. It's unrelated to the topics today. So my son is in LFI and he's not placed at my home school. He's placed at the school that's appropriate for like my address. Is there anywhere online? Because I'm looking to buy a house and I would like to keep him in his cluster, but there's like no information about how these schools feed to the LFI programs. And he's in second grade, so like I don't want to like buy a house and assume that he's gonna go to this school because it's close. And then with the boundary studies, they put out all of the feeder schools for every school, but then there's no information for how LFI how they select the schools and how they're placed. So is there someone that I could talk to or like a specific person at my child's school? Like, how does that work to know what program you would be placed in based off of your home school? Does that make sense?
Yes. Mm-hmm. There are feeder patterns. I'm not sure. I don't know if our special ed staff want to speak to that, whether or not that's.
Because I see the middle schools per se, but I'm like, we could go to any one of those. So I just don't know how they do the LFI program. I'm like, is it a secret? It's kind of confusing.
This is Dr. Jones. It's not a secret. I would just encourage you to speak to your special educator because they would help also with that articulation.
Uh-huh.
And that can be your starting point.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think there's one hand left. No? Okay. All right. I know MCPS, it's 11 minutes beyond what I told you initially. It was time for you to go. But I believe we don't have any parent questions left. So at this point, thank you to our MCPS staff. We appreciate you. Parents, if you could, parents and guardians, hang out for a little bit so that we can have some conversation. And thank you.
And just so people know, you can ask more questions. It's just it'll be within the parent community as opposed to questions to the MCPS staff for now. So there's still more opportunity to talk and ask questions. Thank you, MCPS staff, for coming.
Thank you so much. Everyone have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.